I spent 8 years in medical school, survived residency, and finally received my medical license. The ceremony was the proudest moment of my life. But when I looked out into the audience for my family, the seats were empty. They had chosen my sister's garage sale over my medical license ceremony. What happened next changed everything between us forever. I'd love to know which corner of the globe you're watching from. And if this story speaks to you, make sure to subscribe. Tomorrow's video is one you absolutely can't miss. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning in March, printed on official letterhead from the State Medical Board of California. My hands trembled as I opened it, even though I knew what it would say. After 8 grueling years of medical school, countless sleepless nights during residency, and the most challenging board examinations I'd ever faced, I was finally going to be officially licensed to practice medicine. Dr. Rebecca Martinez, I whispered to myself, reading my name on the certificate notification. The ceremony was scheduled for April 15th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Family and friends were invited to witness this milestone moment. I immediately called my parents' house in Riverside, my heart racing with excitement. My mother, Patricia, answered on the third ring. "Mom, it's official! I got my medical license. The ceremony is next month, and I really want all of you there." "Oh, honey, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. Your father will be thrilled. Hold on, let me get my calendar." I could hear her rustling through papers in the background. My younger sister, Chelsea, lived at home while finishing community college, and I hoped she'd be just as excited about attending. "April 15th, you said? What time?" 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's at the convention center downtown. "Mom, this is really important to me. I know it's been a long journey, but having you all there would mean everything." "Of course we'll be there, Rebecca. This is huge. Your little sister will be so excited. She's been telling everyone her big sister is going to be a doctor." That conversation filled me with such joy. After years of missing family gatherings due to studying, clinical rotations, and residency schedules, I finally had something wonderful to share with them, something that proved all those sacrifices had been worth it. The following weeks flew by as I prepared for the ceremony. I bought a new dress, a professional navy blue one that made me feel confident and accomplished. I had my hair styled and even treated myself to a manicure. This wasn't just any event. This was the culmination of my entire educational journey. 3 days before the ceremony, I called home again to confirm the details. "Hi, Dad. Just wanted to make sure you have the information for Saturday. The ceremony starts at 2, but you should probably arrive by 1:30 to get good seats." My father, Robert, sounded distracted on the phone. "Saturday? What's happening Saturday?" My stomach dropped. "Dad, my medical license ceremony. We talked about this. Mom said you were all coming." "Oh, right. The doctor thing. Yeah, we'll try to make it work." Try to make it work. This wasn't some casual barbecue invitation. This was the most important day of my professional life. "Is everything okay? You sound like something else is going on." "Well, your sister has this garage sale planned. She's been organizing it for weeks, and your mother promised to help her. They have a lot of stuff to sell, and Chelsea really wants to make some money for her summer classes." I felt my chest tighten. A garage sale? Dad, this is my medical license ceremony. I've been working toward this for 8 years. "I know, sweetheart, but Chelsea has been planning this garage sale for a while. She posted it online and everything. People are expecting it. Can't she postpone it or have it next weekend?" "She already committed to this date. You know how your sister is about keeping her word." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sister's garage sale was being treated as equally important as my medical license ceremony. A garage sale could happen any weekend. This ceremony was once in a lifetime. "Dad, please, I'm begging you. This day is so important to me. I need my family there." "We'll see what we can do, honey. Maybe we can stop by after the garage sale winds down." Stop by? Like it was an open house instead of a formal ceremony with a specific start time? That night, I called my sister directly, hoping to appeal to her personally. "Chelsea, it's Rebecca. I heard about your garage sale on Saturday." "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm so excited. I've been collecting stuff for months. I have old clothes, books, some furniture pieces, and kitchen items. I think I can make at least $300. That's great, but Saturday is also my medical license ceremony. The whole family was supposed to come. There was a pause. Can't you reschedule it? Chelsea, it's not my event. It's an official state ceremony. There's only one date. Well, I already advertised the garage sale. I posted it on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and put up signs around the neighborhood. I can't cancel now. But this is my medical license ceremony. I've been working toward this moment for 8 years. 8 years, Chelsea. I know it's important to you, but this garage sale is important to me too. I need the money for my summer classes, and I've put a lot of work into organizing it. I felt tears forming in my eyes. So you're choosing a garage sale over your sister's medical license ceremony? It's not about choosing, it's about the timing. Can't someone record it for me? Record it? Like it was a casual family dinner instead of one of the most significant professional milestones a person could achieve. The rest of the conversation didn't go well. Chelsea seemed genuinely confused about why I was upset, and I was increasingly hurt by her inability to understand the magnitude of what this day meant to me. Friday evening, I made one last attempt. I called my mother directly. Mom, please tell me you're all still coming tomorrow. Honey, we have a situation. Chelsea's garage sale is tomorrow, and she really needs our help. She has so much stuff organized, and she can't manage it alone. Mom, you promised me. You said of course you'd be there. I know, and I feel terrible about it, but your sister has been planning this for weeks. She's counting on us. And I've been planning my entire career for 8 years. Doesn't that count for anything? My mother sighed deeply. Rebecca, you're already a doctor. You don't need a ceremony to prove that. But Chelsea needs this money for her education. I'm not already a doctor, Mom. I just finished residency. This ceremony is when I officially receive my license to practice independently. This is when I actually become a doctor. Well, can't you just pick up the license later? Does it have to be at the ceremony? The fact that my own mother didn't understand the significance of this moment was devastating. This wasn't about picking up a piece of paper. This was about recognition, achievement, and celebrating a milestone that few people ever reach. It's not about picking up papers, Mom. It's about having my family there to witness this moment. It's about feeling supported and celebrated by the people I love most. We support you, honey. We're very proud of you. But we also have commitments to Chelsea. That conversation ended with me in tears, sitting alone in my small apartment near the hospital where I'd completed my residency. I looked at my new dress hanging on the closet door, at the invitation sitting on my kitchen table, at the camera I'd bought to capture the moment with my family. Saturday morning arrived gray and overcast, matching my mood perfectly. I got ready slowly, methodically. Hair, makeup, dress, shoes. Each step felt mechanical, empty. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a last-minute message saying they'd changed their minds. Nothing. The drive to the Los Angeles Convention Center took 45 minutes in weekend traffic. I parked in the structure and walked toward the building, watching other ceremony attendees surrounded by their proud families. Grandparents, parents, siblings, children, spouses. Everyone seemed to have someone there to share this moment. I entered the massive hall alone. The ceremony organizers had set up rows of chairs facing a stage decorated with the state seal and medical board logos. Families filled the seats, cameras ready, conversations buzzing with excitement and pride. I found my designated seat in the section for new licensees and looked back toward the audience seating. Maybe they'd surprise me. Maybe they'd show up at the last minute, having finished the garage sale early. But as 2 o'clock approached and the ceremony began, their seats remained empty. The state medical board chairman took the podium and began welcoming everyone to the ceremony. He spoke about the rigorous training, dedication, and commitment required to reach this milestone. He talked about the sacred responsibility of caring for others, the years of sacrifice that led to this moment, and the pride families should feel watching their loved ones take this important step. Every word felt like a knife. This was exactly what I'd wanted my family to hear, to understand, to be part of. A lot of love and effort went into bringing this story to life. If you're enjoying it, we'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to our channel. Now, back to where we left off. When my name was called Dr. Rebecca Martinez, I walked across that stage alone. I shook hands with the board chairman, received my official license, and posed for the photographer. The flash went off, capturing me smiling broadly, but inside I felt hollow. I looked out into the audience one more time, scanning for familiar faces that weren't there. After the ceremony, families gathered in the lobby for photos and celebrations. I watched children run up to newly licensed doctors, watched spouses embrace their partners, watched parents wipe away proud tears. The joy and love in that room was overwhelming, and none of it was for me. I drove home in silence, my medical license sitting in the passenger seat. This should have been the best day of my life, but instead, it felt like one of the loneliest. When I arrived at my apartment, I finally allowed myself to fully process what had happened. My family had chosen a garage sale over my medical license ceremony. They had chosen to help my sister sell used items over witnessing my professional milestone. The message was clear. My achievements weren't worth prioritizing. That evening, my phone rang. It was my mother. "Hi, honey. How did the ceremony go? I'm sorry we couldn't make it, but Chelsea's garage sale was such a success. She made over $400. $400. My family had skipped the most important day of my professional life, so my sister could make $400 selling old clothes and kitchen items. "It was fine, Mom," I said quietly. "Did you take pictures? We'd love to see them." Pictures of me, alone, at what should have been a family celebration. "I have a few." "Great. Maybe we can all get together next weekend and you can show us everything. Chelsea wants to hear all about it." Next weekend, after it was over, after the moment had passed, after they'd made their priorities crystal clear. "Sure, Mom. We'll see." But as I hung up the phone, I knew something fundamental had changed between us. This wasn't just about missing one event. This was about what they valued, what they prioritized, and where I fit in their list of important things. And apparently, I ranked somewhere below a garage sale. The weeks following the ceremony were strange. I threw myself into work at the hospital, taking on extra shifts and volunteering for complex cases. It was easier to focus on patients than to deal with the growing resentment I felt toward my family. My colleagues noticed my increased dedication. Dr. Sarah Chen, the dedicating physician who'd mentored me during residency, pulled me aside after a particularly long day. "Rebecca, you've been here 14 hours straight. What's going on?" "Just trying to make the most of my new license," I replied, avoiding her concerned gaze. "This isn't about professional development. You're hiding from something." She was right, but I wasn't ready to admit it. Instead, I changed the subject and buried myself deeper into work. 3 weeks after the ceremony, Chelsea called me. "Hey, Rebecca, I wanted to thank you again for understanding about the garage sale. I made enough money for 2 summer classes. Mom said you took some pictures at your doctor thing. Can I see them?" My doctor thing. That's how she referred to the culmination of 8 years of medical education. "I'm at work, Chelsea. Can we talk later?" "Oh, come on. Just text me a few photos. I'm curious what it looked like." I hung up without responding. The casual way she dismissed the significance of that day still stung. Later that evening, I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Professional shots of me receiving the license, a few selfies I'd taken in the lobby, pictures of the elegant ceremony hall. In every single photo, I was alone. My apartment felt suffocating that night. I decided to visit my medical school friend, Dr. Amanda Foster, who lived across town. Amanda had received her license the same day, but her ceremony had been in San Diego, with her entire extended family in attendance. "You should have seen it, Rebecca," Amanda gushed as she showed me photos on her tablet. "My grandmother flew in from Oregon, my little nephew made a banner, even my ex-boyfriend's parents came because they said they'd watched me struggle through med school and wanted to celebrate." Each photo showed Amanda surrounded by loving faces, all focused on her achievement. The contrast to my experience was painful. That sounds amazing, I managed to say. How was your ceremony? I never heard back from you about the dinner afterwards. I'd completely forgotten about the dinner Amanda had invited me to, with several other newly licensed doctors and their families. It was good, quiet. Did your family love the convention center? That venue is gorgeous. I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. Yeah, they were impressed. Amanda didn't push for details, but I could see the confusion in her eyes. She knew something was off. The following weekend, my parents invited me over for dinner. It was the first time I'd seen them since the ceremony, and the atmosphere felt oddly normal, as if nothing significant had happened. My father was grilling chicken in the backyard while my mother set the table. Chelsea was in the living room, counting money and organizing receipts from various sales she'd made since the garage sale. "Rebecca, perfect timing," my mother called out. "Dinner's almost ready. Chelsea's been so successful with her selling. Show her what you made this week, honey." Chelsea looked up from her papers, beaming. "I sold that old dresser from the garage for $60 to someone who saw it on Facebook, and I found more stuff in the attic that I can sell next month." "That's great," I said flatly. "Mom says you had your doctor ceremony a few weeks ago. How was it?" The casual timeline made it sound like a distant memory rather than a recent milestone. "It was fine. Did you get a certificate or something?" "Yes, I got my medical license." "Cool. Can I see it?" I retrieved the framed license from my purse. Chelsea examined it briefly, then handed it back. "Nice. It looks official. So what happens now? Do you get a raise?" Her questions revealed how little she understood about my career path. This wasn't about a raise or a promotion. This was about years of preparation, culminating in the legal authorization to practice medicine independently. During dinner, the conversation centered entirely on Chelsea's entrepreneurial success. She'd apparently inspired several neighbors to organize their own garage sales, and she was considering starting a small business helping people sell their items online. "I'm so proud of Chelsea's initiative," my mother said, serving dessert. "She's really found her calling." "What about Rebecca's calling?" I found myself asking. Becoming a doctor isn't exactly a small accomplishment. My parents exchanged glances. "Of course we're proud of you too, honey," my father said carefully. "But you've been working toward this for years. We've celebrated your progress all along the way." "When? When did we celebrate my progress?" The table fell silent. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "Well, when you graduated medical school, we took you to dinner," she offered. "That was 3 years ago, Mom, and it was at a chain restaurant for an hour because Chelsea had a date that night." "Rebecca, that's not fair," Chelsea interjected. "You're always so busy with your hospital stuff. It's hard to plan things around your schedule." "My hospital stuff? You mean my medical training? The thing I've dedicated my entire adult life to?" The tension in the room was palpable. My father cleared his throat. "Let's not argue. We're all proud of each other's accomplishments." But we weren't arguing about accomplishments. We were confronting the reality of their priorities, and it wasn't a comfortable conversation for anyone. I left that dinner feeling more distant from my family than ever. The drive home gave me time to think about the patterns I'd been ignoring for years. Every major milestone in my medical journey had been overshadowed by something else. Chelsea's high school graduation, my parents' anniversary party, holiday celebrations that I'd had to miss due to clinical rotations, which resulted in guilt trips rather than understanding. It wasn't just about the ceremony. It was about years of feeling like my achievements were secondary to everyone else's immediate needs and wants. The next few days at work were difficult. I found myself distracted during patient consultations, replay in conversations with my family, and questioning relationships I'd always taken for granted. Dr. Chen noticed my distraction again. This time, she didn't let me deflect. "Rebecca, sit down. We need to talk." Her office was small but comfortable, filled with medical journals and family photos. Photos of her children at her medical school graduation, at her residency completion, at various professional award ceremonies. Evidence of a family that understood and celebrated medical achievements. "What's really going on? You've been different since your licensing ceremony." I finally broke down and told her everything about the garage sale, about my family's absence, about feeling completely unsupported in the most important moment of my professional life. Dr. Chen listened without interrupting, her expression growing more concerned as I continued. Rebecca, I'm so sorry. That must have been incredibly hurtful. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting. Maybe it really wasn't that big of a deal. Stop right there. Your medical licensing ceremony is absolutely a big deal. It represents years of sacrifice, dedication, and achievement. The fact that your family doesn't understand that doesn't diminish its importance. Her validation felt like a lifeline. For weeks, I'd been questioning whether my hurt feelings were justified. What do I do now? I can't change what happened, but I can't seem to get past it either. Have you told them how their absence made you feel? They don't seem to think they did anything wrong. My mom keeps talking about seeing pictures and hearing about it after the fact, like that's the same thing. Dr. Chen nodded knowingly. Some people don't understand that presence matters, that witnessing important moments is fundamentally different from hearing about them later. We talked for another 20 minutes about family dynamics, professional boundaries, and the challenge of maintaining relationships with people who don't share your values or priorities. You might need to recalibrate your expectations, she suggested gently, not because your feelings aren't valid, but because expecting them to suddenly understand might only lead to more disappointment. That conversation marked a turning point. I began to see the situation more clearly, not through the lens of what I wished had happened, but through the reality of who my family members actually were and what they valued. The hurt didn't disappear overnight, but I started to develop a different perspective on our relationship. Maybe the problem wasn't that they didn't love me, but that they showed love and support in ways that didn't align with what I needed during important moments. Still, understanding the dynamic didn't immediately resolve my feelings of disappointment and betrayal. Those emotions would take much longer to process, and the path forward with my family remained unclear. 2 months passed before I heard from Chelsea again. This time, she was calling with exciting news about her summer classes and a request that would test every boundary I was trying to establish. Rebecca, guess what? I aced my accounting midterm and I'm thinking about transferring to a 4-year university in the fall. But I need to write this personal essay about overcoming challenges, and I was hoping you could help me. What kind of help? I asked, already sensing where this conversation was heading. Well, you're so good with words, and you've been through all that medical school application stuff. Could you maybe write a rough draft for me, just to get me started? The irony wasn't lost on me. She wanted my help with her educational pursuits after completely dismissing mine. Chelsea, I can't write your personal essay for you. That would be academic dishonesty. I'm not asking you to write the whole thing, just like a framework. You know how to make things sound impressive. You need to write your own essay. It's supposed to be about your experiences, not mine. Come on, Rebecca. Family helps family. Remember when you needed help moving into your apartment? We all pitched in. That comparison stung. Yes, they'd helped me move furniture one afternoon, but somehow, in her mind, that was equivalent to me writing her college application essay. I'll look it over after you write it, but I won't write it for you. Fine, whatever. I thought my big sister would want to help me succeed, but I guess your medical degree made you too important for the family. She hung up before I could respond. The accusation that my education had made me too important revealed exactly how she viewed my achievements, as something that created distance rather than something worth celebrating. That same week, I received an invitation that would force me to confront my family dynamics head-on. Dr. Martinez, no relation, despite sharing my surname, was retiring from the hospital after 30 years. The entire medical staff was invited to a farewell dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. I debated whether to invite my family. Part of me wanted to give them another chance, to show up for something important to me. Another part of me dreaded the possibility of experiencing the same disappointment again. Eventually, I decided to extend the invitation, but with lower expectations. There's a retirement dinner for one of the senior doctors at my hospital next Friday, I told my mother during our weekly phone check-in. The whole medical staff is invited, and we can bring guests. Would you and Dad like to come? Oh, that sounds lovely. What time? 7 o'clock at the Meridian Hotel downtown. Let me check our calendar. Your father has his bowling league on Friday nights, but maybe he can skip it for once. The fact that bowling league was even a consideration for comparison made me realize I was setting myself up for disappointment again. It's fine, Mom. Don't worry about it if it's not convenient. No, we should try to make it work. It would be nice to meet your colleagues. 3 days before the dinner, my mother called with an update. Honey, I have some bad news about Friday. Chelsea's community college is having their honors recognition ceremony that same night. She made the dean's list this semester, and she really wants us there. Of course she did. What time is her ceremony? It starts at 6:30, but there's a reception afterward. It could run pretty late. I did quick math in my head. If her ceremony started at 6:30 and ran for an hour, plus a reception, they'd never make it to the retirement dinner by 7. So you're choosing her dean's list ceremony over the retirement dinner? It's not about choosing, Rebecca. It's about timing. If her ceremony was earlier, we could do both. But we couldn't both. And once again, Chelsea's academic achievement was taking priority over my professional event. You know what, Mom? Don't worry about it. I understand. Are you upset? You sound upset. I'm learning. Learning what? Learning where I fit in this family's priorities. The conversation ended awkwardly, with my mother insisting she didn't understand why I was being dramatic about a work dinner. I attended Dr. Martinez's retirement dinner alone, surrounded by colleagues and their spouses, parents, and adult children. The evening was filled with heartwarming speeches about his mentorship, his contributions to the hospital, and his impact on countless medical careers. During the cocktail hour, I found myself in conversation with Dr. James Wilson, a cardiologist who'd known Dr. Martinez for 20 years. It's wonderful that so many families came out tonight, Dr. Wilson remarked, gesturing toward the crowd. Medical careers are demanding, and it means everything when families show up to support these milestone moments. Absolutely, I agreed, taking a sip of my wine. Are your parents here? I'd love to meet them. They couldn't make it tonight, prior commitment. Dr. Wilson nodded understandingly. The scheduling conflicts are always tough. My parents missed my first major presentation at a medical conference because it was the same weekend as my brother's wedding. 20 years later, and I still remember how disappointed I felt. His casual admission that he still remembered that disappointment 20 years later hit me hard. This wasn't something I was going to just get over in a few months. The dinner continued with toasts and stories about Dr. Martinez's career. He spoke about the importance of mentorship, about the medical community as an extended family, and about how meaningful it was to have loved ones witness significant professional moments. Some of you have been with me through residency, fellowship, and decades of practice, he said during his speech. You've celebrated my successes and supported me through challenges. Having you here tonight, seeing your faces, means more than any award or recognition I could receive. The emphasis on presence, on witness, on showing up for important moments reinforced everything I'd been feeling about my family's absence from my licensing ceremony. After the dinner, I drove home thinking about Dr. Wilson's comment. Would I still remember this hurt 20 years from now? Was this the kind of family dynamic that would define our relationship for decades to come? The next morning, Chelsea posted photos from her Dean's List ceremony on social media. There were pictures of her with my parents, all three of them beaming with pride. My mother had bought her flowers, my father wore a suit. They looked genuinely thrilled to be celebrating her academic achievement. The photos were beautiful, and I was genuinely happy for Chelsea's success. But seeing my parents dressed up, holding flowers, posing proudly for photos at an academic ceremony just 2 days after skipping my professional dinner crystallized everything I'd been struggling to articulate. It wasn't about the specific events anymore. It was about the consistent pattern of their enthusiasm and effort for Chelsea's milestones compared to their absence or reluctance regarding mine. I commented on Chelsea's post. Congratulations, so proud of you. because I was proud of her. But I also screenshotted the photos of my parents in their formal attire, celebrating at an academic ceremony, because sometimes you need evidence of patterns that people claim don't exist. That weekend, I made a decision that would change the trajectory of my relationship with my family. I started setting boundaries, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. When my mother called to tell me about Chelsea's ceremony and how proud they were, I listened politely but didn't ask for details. When Chelsea texted me photos from the event, I responded with a simple thumbs up emoji rather than the enthusiastic response I might have given before. I began declining some family invitations, not to punish them, but to protect myself from situations where I'd feel overlooked or unvalued. I started making plans with colleagues and friends who understood and appreciated my professional achievements. Most importantly, I stopped expecting them to suddenly understand the significance of my career milestones. Dr. Chen had been right. Recalibrating expectations wasn't about accepting poor treatment, but about protecting myself from repeated disappointment. The shift was subtle but significant. I was learning to find validation and celebration within my professional community rather than constantly seeking it from family members who seemed incapable of providing it. But this change didn't go unnoticed by my family, and their response would create an entirely new set of challenges I hadn't anticipated. The boundaries I'd started setting didn't go unnoticed. Within 3 weeks of my more distant approach, my mother called with a tone I'd never heard before, a mixture of confusion and accusation. "Rebecca, your father and I are worried about you. You seem different lately, distant." "I'm just busy with work, Mom. New responsibilities with the license and all." "It's more than that. You barely responded to Chelsea's achievement photos. You declined the barbecue last weekend, and when I called to tell you about your cousin Maria's engagement, you seemed completely uninterested." She was right. I had been pulling back, but hearing it described this way made it sound petty rather than self-protective. "I'm not uninterested. I'm just managing my time differently." Managing your time differently? Rebecca, we're your family. Since when do you need to manage time with us? The irony of that statement was staggering. They'd been managing their time away from my important moments for years, but now that I was doing the same, it was suddenly a problem? "Mom, can we talk about this later? I'm about to start my shift." "This conversation isn't over, young lady. We need to sit down as a family and discuss what's been going on with you." A family meeting about my behavior, not about their patterns of absence, not about missed celebrations, not about consistently prioritizing Chelsea's needs over mine. A meeting about what was wrong with me. That evening, I called my medical school friend Amanda, who'd become something of a confidant during this difficult period. "They want to have an intervention because I'm not being enthusiastic enough about family events," I explained. "An intervention? Rebecca, you've been setting healthy boundaries. That's what mature adults do when relationships become unbalanced." "But what if I am being petty? What if I'm holding grudges over things that weren't that important?" "Stop. Your medical license ceremony was incredibly important. Their choice to prioritize a garage sale sent a clear message about their values. You're not being petty. You're protecting yourself." Amanda's perspective helped, but I still felt guilty about the growing distance with my family. The guilt intensified when Chelsea called me directly. "Rebecca, what's your problem lately? Mom says you're acting weird, and honestly, I've noticed it too. You're being kind of cold." "I'm not being cold, Chelsea. I'm just focused on my career right now." "Focused on your career? You've always been focused on your career. That's not new. What's new is that you're being rude to the family." "How am I being rude?" "You barely acknowledged my Dean's List achievement. You didn't even ask about my transfer applications. And when I asked for help with that essay, you acted like I was asking you to commit a crime." "Chelsea, I congratulated you on the Dean's List, and asking me to write your essay for you was asking me to help you cheat." "I wasn't asking you to write it. I was asking for help. But whatever, I figured it out on my own. No thanks to my big sister." The conversation was spiraling into familiar territory, Chelsea positioning herself as the victim of my unreasonable standards. "I'm glad you figured it out. Writing your own essay was the right thing to do." "See, that's what I mean. You're being condescending now, too. Ever since your doctor thing, you've been acting like you're better than us. My doctor thinks so. Again, the casual dismissal of the most significant achievement of my life, combined with the accusation that my education had made me arrogant, felt like a slap. Chelsea, my doctor thing was one of the most important days of my life, and none of you bothered to show up. Maybe that changed something between us. Oh my God, are you still upset about that? It was months ago, and it's not like we didn't want to be there. We had other commitments. A garage sale, Chelsea. You chose a garage sale over my medical license ceremony. It wasn't just a garage sale, it was important to me, but apparently my things aren't as important as your things. The conversation was becoming circular and increasingly heated. Chelsea genuinely seemed to believe that her garage sale had been equally important to my licensing ceremony, and that my inability to see it that way made her selfish. You know what? You're right. Your things are important to you, and my things are important to me. Maybe we just have different definitions of priority. Maybe we do, but I'm not the one acting like a snob about it. She hung up, leaving me frustrated and even more isolated from my family. The next day brought an unexpected development. My father, who rarely initiated contact, called me at work. "Rebecca, I think we need to talk, just you and me." "About what?" "About what's been happening with the family. Your mother is upset, Chelsea feels like you don't care about her anymore, and frankly, I'm confused about why everyone is suddenly at odds." We arranged to meet for coffee that Saturday, a neutral location, a cafe halfway between my apartment and their house. My father arrived looking tired and older than I remembered. The stress of family conflict was clearly wearing on him. "So," he began, after we'd ordered our drinks, "help me understand what's going on. Your mother thinks you're angry about something, but she's not sure what." "Dad, I'm not angry. I'm hurt. And I'm tired of being the only one who seems to think my achievements matter." "Of course your achievements matter. We've always been proud of you." "Then why didn't you come to my medical license ceremony?" He sighed deeply, running his hand through his graying hair. "That again? Rebecca, it was a scheduling conflict. These things happen." "It wasn't just a scheduling conflict, Dad. It was a choice. You chose to help Chelsea with her garage sale instead of witnessing the culmination of 8 years of my education. We didn't choose one over the other. We had already committed to helping your sister. And you couldn't ask her to postpone it or to find other help? This was a once-in-a-lifetime event for me." My father looked genuinely puzzled. "But you got your license anyway, right? The ceremony was just ceremonial." There it was, the fundamental misunderstanding that had been at the root of everything. To them, the ceremony was just pageantry, unnecessary pomp for something that was going to happen regardless. They didn't understand that witnessing, celebrating, and acknowledging important moments was part of what made achievements meaningful. "Dad, ceremonies matter, celebrations matter. Having your family there to witness important moments matters. When I looked out into that audience and saw empty seats where you should have been, it broke something between us." "But we celebrated afterward. We took you to dinner next week." A week later, after the moment had passed, after I'd already experienced the disappointment of being alone. We sat in silence for several minutes, both of us processing the conversation. "I don't know how to fix this, Rebecca. I don't know how to go back and change what happened." "You can't change what happened, Dad, but you could acknowledge that it hurt me. You could understand why it mattered, and you could make different choices going forward." "What kind of different choices?" "When I have something important, a professional milestone, an award, a significant moment, you could prioritize being there. Not just promise to try, not just say you'll see what you can do, but actually prioritize it." "What kind of different choices?" "When I have something important, a professional milestone, an award, a significant moment, you could prioritize being there. Not just promise to try, not just say you'll see what you can do, but actually prioritize it." My father nodded slowly. "And what about Chelsea? She needs support too." "Of course she does, but her needs don't always have to come first. There's room in this family for both of us to be important." That conversation with my father was the first time anyone in my family had really listened to my perspective without immediately defending their own actions. It didn't solve everything, but it felt like progress. However, that progress would be tested sooner than I expected when a new opportunity arose that would force my family to choose once again where their priorities lay. 2 weeks after my conversation with my father, an opportunity arose that would test everything we'd discussed. The hospital was nominating me for the Young Physician Excellence Award, a prestigious recognition given annually by the California Medical Association. If selected, I would be honored at their annual gala in San Francisco. Dr. Chen broke the news to me on a Thursday morning, her excitement evident. "Rebecca, the nomination committee unanimously agreed to put your name forward. Your work with underserved patients, your research contributions, and your clinical excellence make you a strong candidate." The award ceremony would take place on a Saturday evening in October at the Grand Ballroom of the St. Francis Hotel. It was exactly the kind of event that would give my family another chance to show up for something that mattered to me. But I hesitated to tell them about it immediately. The wounds from previous disappointments were still fresh, and I wasn't sure I could handle another rejection. Instead, I called Amanda first. "This is incredible, Rebecca! The Young Physician Excellence Award? Do you know how competitive that is?" "Apparently very competitive. There are only 5 recipients statewide each year." "You have to be so proud. When's the ceremony?" "October 14th. It's a formal gala in San Francisco." "Are you going to invite your family?" That was the question I'd been avoiding. I don't know. Part of me wants to give them another chance, but part of me can't handle another disappointment. "What did your father say when you talked to him about making different choices going forward?" "He seemed to understand, but understanding and actually following through are different things." Amanda was quiet for a moment. "You know what? Maybe this is the perfect test. If they show up, great. If they don't, at least you'll know for certain where you stand." Her logic was sound but emotionally terrifying. This felt like putting our entire relationship on the line. That weekend, I decided to extend the invitation, but I approached it strategically. Instead of calling my mother, who would immediately start thinking about potential conflicts, I called my father directly. "Dad, I have some news. The hospital nominated me for a statewide award, the Young Physician Excellence from the California Medical Association." "That's wonderful, honey. Congratulations." "I will find out next month if I actually won, but if I do, there's a formal ceremony in San Francisco on October 14th. I'd really like the family to be there if it happens." There was a pause. October 14th? Let me check the calendar. My heart sank. The fact that he needed to check the calendar instead of immediately clearing it for such a significant event told me everything. "Actually, Dad, don't check the calendar yet. Just listen for a minute." "Okay. This is potentially one of the biggest professional honors I could receive at this stage of my career. Only 5 doctors in the entire state get this award each year. If I win, I want my family there. Not checking if it's convenient, not seeing if you can make it work around other plans. I want this to be the priority." My father was quiet for a long moment. "You're asking us to block out that entire day?" "I'm asking you to prioritize my achievement the way you've prioritized Chelsea's events." "That's not fair, Rebecca. We don't prioritize Chelsea over you." "Dad, you wore a suit to her Dean's List ceremony. You bought her flowers. You posed for photos. You couldn't even come to my professional retirement dinner because of her ceremony." "Those weren't the same kind of events." "You're right. Mine was more significant, but hers got more attention." The conversation was becoming tense again, but I pressed forward. "Look, I'm not even asking you to commit to anything yet. I don't know if I'll win, but I'm asking you to understand that if I do win, this ceremony needs to be treated as the major family event that it is." "Of course, honey. If you win this award, we'll absolutely be there. Even if Chelsea has something else planned that day?" "Rebecca, that's not a fair question. We'd have to look at what the conflict is." "No, Dad, that's exactly the problem. There shouldn't be a comparison. There shouldn't be a weighing of options. This should automatically be the priority. After we hung up, I felt both hopeful and anxious. My father had promised they'd be there, but his reluctance to commit unconditionally made me doubt whether he truly understood what I was asking for. 3 weeks later, I received the call. I'd won the Young Physician Excellence Award. Dr. Chen delivered the news personally, along with the hospital administrator and the chief of staff. The ceremony would be black tie, attended by medical professionals from across the state and covered by medical journals. "Rebecca, this is a tremendous honor," the chief of staff said. "You're the youngest recipient in the award's 15-year history." That evening, I called my family with the news. "I won the award," I announced when my mother answered the phone. "Which award?" "The Young Physician Excellence Award, the one I told Dad about." "Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Hold on, let me get your father and Chelsea." When they were all on the phone, I shared the details about the ceremony, the significance of the award, and my expectations for their attendance. "It's a formal gala at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. Cocktails at 6, dinner and ceremony at 7:30. I'll need to know how many tickets to request." "Well, obviously the three of us will be there," my mother said enthusiastically. "This is so exciting." "What should we wear?" Chelsea asked. "Is it really fancy?" "Black tie. Dad will need a tuxedo. You and Mom will need formal gowns." There was a brief pause. "A tuxedo?" my father asked. "How much does it cost to rent a tuxedo?" "About $150, Dad." "And formal gowns?" "Mom probably has something appropriate, but Chelsea might need to shop for something." I could hear them whispering among themselves, discussing the logistics and expense. "This is a pretty big investment," my mother said carefully. "Between the tuxedo rental, possibly a new dress for Chelsea, gas to San Francisco, parking." "Mom, this is the biggest professional honor of my life. Surely it's worth the expense." "Of course it is. We're not saying we won't come. We're just calculating the costs." But the fact that they were calculating costs at all was telling. When Chelsea had needed money for college applications, they'd found it immediately. When she'd wanted to attend a concert in Los Angeles, they'd driven her there without hesitation. Now they were itemizing expenses for my award ceremony. "You know what? Don't worry about the costs. I'll cover the tuxedo rental and help Chelsea find a dress. The only thing I need from you is your presence." "Rebecca, you don't need to do that," my father protested. "I want to do it. This is important to me, and I want to remove any barriers to your attendance." After we hung up, I sat in my apartment feeling a mixture of excitement about the award and anxiety about whether my family would actually follow through. I'd eliminated their excuses about cost, given them 6 weeks' notice, and made the importance crystal clear. But deep down, I was still preparing myself for disappointment, because despite all my father's promises about making different choices, I wasn't convinced they truly understood what was at stake. The next few weeks would reveal whether our family had actually learned anything from our previous conflicts, or whether I was setting myself up for the most painful disappointment yet. The weeks leading up to the award ceremony were a whirlwind of professional excitement and personal anxiety. My colleagues were thrilled about the recognition, and several senior physicians shared stories about how significant this award would be for my career trajectory. Meanwhile, I found myself obsessively checking in with my family about their attendance, despite promising myself I wouldn't. 3 weeks before the ceremony, I took Chelsea shopping for a formal gown, as promised. We spent an entire Saturday afternoon at various department stores and boutiques, eventually finding a beautiful navy blue dress that made her look elegant and sophisticated. "I can't believe you're paying for this," she said as I handed my credit card to the cashier. "This dress costs more than I made at that garage sale." "It's worth it to have you there," I replied, though her comparison to the garage sale stung. "I'm really proud of you, you know. I know I don't always say it, but winning this award is pretty amazing." It was the first time Chelsea had directly acknowledged the significance of my professional achievements, and it gave me hope that maybe our relationship could evolve. "Thank you. That means a lot." I looked it up online after you told us about it. Only 5 doctors in the whole state. That's incredible, Rebecca. The fact that she'd researched the award independently showed a level of interest and engagement she'd never displayed before. Maybe the gravity of this recognition was finally breaking through. 2 weeks before the ceremony, my father called with an update about the tuxedo rental. I went to get measured today. The rental place said I should pick it up the day before the event to make sure everything fits properly. That sounds perfect, Dad. Thank you for taking care of that. You know, I've never worn a tuxedo before. Your mother is excited about getting dressed up too. She found a dress in her closet from your cousin's wedding a few years ago. The conversation felt different from our previous discussions. Instead of focusing on inconveniences or costs, he seemed genuinely engaged with the preparation process. 1 week before the ceremony, everything seemed to be falling into place. I'd confirmed the details with my family multiple times, arranged for a professional photographer to capture the moment, and even booked a hotel room in San Francisco so we could all stay overnight and make it a special weekend. Then, on Tuesday morning, my mother called. Rebecca, we have a tiny problem. My stomach immediately dropped. What kind of problem? Well, Chelsea just found out that her community college is having their transfer student information fair this Saturday. It's specifically for students who want to transfer to four-year universities, and she really needs to go. The information fair is this Saturday, the same day as my awards ceremony? Yes, and she's been waiting for this opportunity for months. The representatives from all the major universities will be there, and she needs to talk to them about her transfer applications. I felt the familiar knot forming in my chest. Mom, my awards ceremony is this Saturday. We've been planning this for weeks. I know, honey, but this is really important for Chelsea's future. She can't miss this opportunity. Can't she get the same information online or visit the universities individually? It's not the same as meeting the representatives in person. Plus, there are scholarship opportunities that are only available through this fair. I closed my eyes, trying to process what was happening. After all our conversations, after all my father's promises about making different choices, after I'd paid for formal wear and hotel rooms, we were having the exact same conflict again. Mom, this is the Young Physician Excellence Award. This is the biggest professional honor I've ever received. I'm the youngest recipient in the award's history. We know how important it is to you, sweetheart, but Chelsea's education is important too. Then why can't Dad come without Chelsea? Why can't you come without Chelsea? Why does her schedule dictate everyone else's attendance? Because we're a family, Rebecca. We support each other. When do you support me, Mom? When is it my turn to be the priority? You're being unfair. We've always supported your career. Have you? Because from where I'm sitting, every major milestone in my professional life has been overshadowed by something Chelsea needed. The conversation continued for another 15 minutes, covering familiar ground. My mother insisted they weren't choosing Chelsea over me, but that the timing was just unfortunate. I pointed out that they could attend both events if they wanted to, but that would require splitting up for one day, which apparently was unthinkable. After hanging up, I called Amanda in tears. They're doing it again, I sobbed. After everything we talked about, after all the promises, they're choosing Chelsea's information fair over my award ceremony. Rebecca, I'm so sorry, but I have to ask, are you really surprised? She was right. Deep down, I wasn't surprised. I was heartbroken, but not surprised. What do I do now? Do I uninvite them? Do I go alone again? What do you want to do? I want my family there, but I want them to want to be there. I want to be important enough to them that they choose me, just once. Maybe this is the clarity you needed. Maybe this is them showing you exactly who they are and what they prioritize. That afternoon, I made a decision that felt both empowering and devastating. I called my family back. I've been thinking about our conversation this morning, I told my mother when she answered. Oh, good. I was hoping you'd understand Chelsea's situation. I do understand. I understand that attending her information fair is more important to this family than witnessing my award ceremony. So I'm going to make this easy for everyone. What do you mean? Don't come to the ceremony. Any of you. Stay home, go to Chelsea's information fair, and don't worry about disappointing me, because I'm done expecting anything different. Rebecca, you're being dramatic again. We never said we weren't coming. You didn't have to say it, Mom. The fact that you're even considering missing my award ceremony for an information fair says everything I need to know. It's not just an information fair, it's Chelsea's future. And this award is my present. But apparently her future is more important than my present, just like her garage sale was more important than my medical license ceremony, just like her Dean's List ceremony was more important than my retirement dinner. Those situations were completely different. No, Mom, they were exactly the same. They were all situations where you had to choose between supporting Chelsea and supporting me, and you chose Chelsea every single time. We didn't choose. Yes, you did. And you're choosing again. So make your choice, but don't pretend it's about anything other than priorities. I hung up before she could respond, then immediately called the hotel to cancel the extra rooms I'd booked. I called the tuxedo rental place to cancel my father's order. I texted Chelsea to let her know she could return the dress I'd bought her. For the third time in less than a year, I would be attending a major professional milestone alone. But this time felt different. This time, I wasn't surprised or hopeful or devastated. This time, I was clear about where I stood in my family's hierarchy of importance. And while that clarity was painful, it was also liberating. I could stop expecting them to change, stop hoping they'd suddenly understand, stop setting myself up for repeated disappointment. The award ceremony was still 5 days away, but I'd already received the most important recognition of all. The recognition that I deserved better than what they were willing to give. Saturday evening arrived with perfect October weather in San Francisco. The St. Francis Hotel's grand ballroom was transformed into an elegant venue with crystal chandeliers, round tables draped in white linens, and a stage adorned with the California Medical Association's emblem. I arrived alone, wearing a black evening gown I'd purchased specifically for this occasion. As I walked through the hotel lobby, I felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time in months, I wasn't anxiously checking my phone for last-minute cancellations or scanning the crowd for familiar faces who might not show up. Dr. Chen spotted me near the registration table and approached with a warm smile. "Rebecca, you look absolutely stunning. Are you ready for your big night?" "I think I am," I replied, and meant it. "Where's your family? I was looking forward to meeting them." "They couldn't make it. Prior commitments." Dr. Chen's expression shifted slightly, but she didn't press for details. "Well, their loss is our gain. You have an entire community here who's incredibly proud of you." She was right. As cocktail hour began, I was surrounded by colleagues, mentors, and medical professionals who understood exactly what this recognition meant. Dr. Wilson, whom I'd met at the retirement dinner months earlier, approached with his wife. "Dr. Martinez, congratulations on this incredible honor. My wife and I were just saying how well-deserved this recognition is." "Thank you so much. That really means a lot." "You know," his wife added, "James has been telling me about your work with underserved populations. It's physicians like you who make the medical community proud." These conversations continued throughout the evening. People shared stories about my patient care, my research contributions, and my dedication to excellence. It was everything I'd hoped my family would understand and appreciate about my career. During dinner, I found myself seated at a table with 4 other award recipients and their families. To my right was Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a pediatric surgeon from Sacramento, who had brought her husband and 2 teenage children. To my left was Dr. Michael Chang, an emergency medicine physician from San Diego, accompanied by his parents and sister. "This is such an incredible honor," Dr. Walsh said during the salad course. "I keep looking around the room thinking about how special this moment is." "Have your families been to many medical events?" I asked, genuinely curious about their experiences. "Oh yes," Dr. Chang replied. "My parents have been to every major milestone since medical school. They don't always understand the technical aspects, but they know these moments matter." His sister nodded enthusiastically. "We joke that we've become professional medical ceremony attendees, but seriously, watching Michael's career progress has been one of the highlights of our family experience." The contrast to my own situation was stark, but instead of feeling bitter, I felt grateful for the clarity. These families understood something mine didn't, and that wasn't a reflection on my worth as a person or professional. When the ceremony portion began, the president of the California Medical Association took the stage to introduce the evening's honorees. The lights dimmed, and a spotlight illuminated the podium. Tonight, we celebrate 5 exceptional physicians who represent the very best of our profession. These individuals have demonstrated excellence in patient care, contribution to medical knowledge, and commitment to serving their communities. As each recipient was introduced, their families cheered from the audience. Camera flashes illuminated proud faces, and you could feel the collective joy and celebration filling the room. Our next honoree is Dr. Rebecca Martinez from Los Angeles. At just 31 years old, she is the youngest physician ever to receive this award. Her groundbreaking research in emergency medicine protocols has already saved countless lives, and her dedication to treating underserved populations exemplifies the compassionate spirit of medicine. I walked to the stage accompanied by thunderous applause. As I stood at the podium, looking out at the audience of medical professionals who understood and celebrated this achievement, I felt something I'd never experienced at previous ceremonies: complete validation. "Thank you for this incredible honor," I began. "This recognition belongs not just to me, but to every mentor who guided me, every colleague who challenged me, and every patient who trusted me with their care." I spoke for 3 minutes about the responsibility of medical excellence, the importance of serving others, and the privilege of being part of this profession. When I returned to my seat, carrying my award, the entire room rose in a standing ovation. Dr. Chen, who was seated several tables away, caught my eye and mouthed, "So proud of you." Her genuine emotion brought tears to my eyes. Not tears of sadness, but tears of gratitude for having people in my life who truly understood what this moment meant. After the ceremony, during the reception, my phone buzzed with a text message from Chelsea. "Hope your doctor thing went well tonight. Mom says congrats." Your doctor thing. Even after everything that had transpired, even after I'd uninvited them specifically because of their dismissive attitude, the language hadn't changed. I showed the text to Amanda, who had driven up from San Diego to attend as my guest. "Wow," she said, reading it. "They really don't get it, do they?" "No, they don't. But you know what? I'm okay with that now." And I was. Standing in that ballroom, holding my award, surrounded by people who valued excellence and understood dedication, I realized that validation doesn't have to come from family. It can come from the community you build, the colleagues you inspire, and the patients whose lives you touch. Over the following weeks, my relationship with my family evolved into something more honest and less emotionally charged. When my mother called to ask about the ceremony, I shared basic details without expecting enthusiasm or understanding. "It sounds lovely, honey. We're proud of you." "Thank you. Maybe we can see some photos sometime?" "Sure." The conversations were cordial but distant. I stopped seeking their approval for professional achievements and started sharing my successes with people who could appreciate them fully. Chelsea eventually transferred to a 4-year university, thanks in part to the information she gathered at that Saturday fair. I congratulated her genuinely and sent a graduation gift when she completed her degree. But I also maintained boundaries around my own time and emotional energy. My parents continued to prioritize Chelsea's needs and milestones, which no longer surprised or hurt me. I built a chosen family within my professional community, mentors, colleagues, and friends who understood the dedication required for medical excellence. 6 months after the award ceremony, I received an unexpected phone call from my father. "Rebecca, I've been thinking a lot about our conversations last year, about priorities and being present for important moments." "Okay." "I think I finally understand what you were trying to tell me. Your mother and I watched a documentary about medical training, and seeing what doctors go through, I realize we never fully grasped what your achievements meant." It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever received from him, and while it didn't change the past, it felt like acknowledgement. "Thank you for saying that, Dad. Is it too late to do better going forward?" It's never too late to do better, I replied, but it has to be genuine, not just promises. Today, I maintain a relationship with my family that's based on realistic expectations rather than constant disappointment. They are who they are, with their own values and priorities, and I am who I am, with mine. The Young Physician Excellence Award sits in my office, not as a symbol of family disappointment, but as a reminder that recognition and validation come in many forms. Sometimes the most important audience for your achievements is the one you build yourself: colleagues who understand your journey, mentors who appreciate your dedication, and patients whose lives you touch. I learned that you can love your family without needing them to be your primary source of professional validation. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop waiting for people to change and start building the supportive community you deserve. My medical license ceremony taught me about disappointment. My award ceremony taught me about resilience. But the journey between those two events taught me the most valuable lesson of all: that your worth isn't determined by who shows up to celebrate you, but by the impact you make and the standards you set for yourself. And that's a lesson no ceremony could have taught me. I had to learn it by living it. Looking for more? We've got 2 amazing stories ready for you right on screen. If this one touched you, these are absolutely worth your time. Click to watch them now. And hey, subscribe and hit that bell to never miss our latest uploads.